Part 2 of Friday 320's notes. Here is our second example. To save time, I've already drawn my triangle here. And notice in the first example we started off, we knew two angles. Here we only know one, but we also know the side opposite of it. So that means we can pair those two up and say sine of 65 over 44. And what could we make it equal to? Well, the only other information we have is that side B is 32. And we would use side B to find angle B. And we would say sine of angle B over 32. I would take my 32, slide it up. Okay. Now, that would leave me just the sine of B over here. Now, how do I solve for angle A if it says the sine of B? I have to take the inverse sine of that. And I can do that as long as I take the inverse sine of that whole left-hand side. Okay, now on the right hand side here, what happens when I do inverse sine of sine? Well, we just get an answer of B. Now on the left hand side, let me show you how I would put this in my calculator. If you have a calculator like the ones I have in class, this is how I would do it. I would type this into my calculator and hit equals. Remember, that calculator will store it in that answer button. Okay. So then I would hit second sign and I would hit the answer button. That way I don't have to write down a decimal, round a decimal, any of that stuff. The calculator will keep it for me. And when I do that, I get angle, what are we doing here? Angle B to be 41.2 degrees. Okay, so now we know angle B is 41.2. Now what you can do as you're solving this, realize you just had 65 degrees and it has a 44 opposite of it. So we had a 32, which is smaller than 44, so our angle should be smaller than 65. And we can kind of check ourselves as we go along. Next thing we can do right off the bat is we can find angle A, because we know two angles. So let's just subtract from 180. And we get angle A to be 73.8. Okay. Now what do I notice about that? That's my largest angle. So that means when I find side A down here, it had better be bigger than 44. Well, how would I find side A? I would go back and I would use sine of 65 over 44 because we were given that. We didn't round anything to get it. Now we did round angle A, and we're just going to have to use it. We'll have to say sine of 73.8 degrees over side A. Okay. And again, I would do what I did earlier. I would switch these two and slide that 44 up. So I would get A equals 44 times the sine of 73.8 over the sine of 65. Again, that way I can punch all this in my calculator at one time. Just be careful, maybe hit equals after you finish with the numerator. And I get A to be 46.6. Let's go see if this makes sense. A is 46.6. Now again, 46.6 is my biggest side. It's bigger than 44. Well, 73 was bigger than 65. 32 is my smallest side. 41.2 is my smallest angle. So our answers here that we got are working out. Okay.